Flosstube, welcome back. This is Flosstube number, unlucky 13 for me, for cats and horror and stitching. I am Caitlin, my pronouns are she, her, and it's June. It's a beautiful first Sunday of June here where I live, and it's Pride Month, so happy Pride to everyone. I am not part of the LGBTQ plus community, but I consider myself to be an ally. I try my very best. So yeah, happy Pride. I'm gonna apologize from the start. This is probably going to be a very chaotic video. It is my first time filming using my new iPad. I've got a very bizarre setup right now because I could not figure out how to set up my iPad to stand properly. It doesn't fit in the tripod I had for my phone. I am getting over a cold, you might be able to hear, so my voice is a little bit scratchy and I'm really tired, but I really wanted to make this video. As well, my microphone that I usually use, because when I first started filming I was told that I was not loud enough, it doesn't work with my iPad because apparently iPads don't have jacks to attach, like, you know, the jack that you use for like when you attach headphones, or in my case, my microphone. So it's going to be a new setup and system today, so sorry about that. Hopefully it all goes well. But I do have a lot of fun stuff to show you. I have a lot of different stuff now. I actually have an FFO, I have a finish, I have some happy mail to borrow Michelle Bendy Stitchy's, what she calls it, happy mail, her term, happy mail. I have a bit of haul, I have some of my crochet to show you, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and I might even talk about a book because I just finished reading it this morning and it was really, really good. So yeah, it is June 4th, I believe, and let's get into it. So first, if you follow me on Instagram, I'm on Instagram at Cats and Horror and Stitching Oh My. You can follow me there and get to see a lot of the pictures of what I'm working on, as I'm working on it, and whenever I finish something. So I did already post this on my Instagram. This is my FFO. So this is my Mermaid Princess. Oh, how am I going to put this so I don't get a glare? Mermaid Princess. That's better. This I made for my daughter. She actually picked this pattern herself. It is from an Etsy designer, and I can't remember what it is, but I will link it down below. And yeah, this was a really fun stitch. Very pretty. She's very pretty. I'll put it a little closer. And I wasn't sure how I was going to FFO this at first. I did have this, this is fabric, this mermaid scale fabric. I bought it back in 2020, 2021 when I was making a lot of masks for the pandemic. And so I had this fabric. I was considering doing like a flat, I don't know what it's called, flat fold, or I don't know. Basically what I did for similar to what I did for my son with his sushi cat. And then I just happened to be out thrifting a couple weeks ago and I found this frame, perfect pink frame. I think it was $3.99. Yeah, so I brought it home, but the frame was just a little bit too big. There was going to be a lot of white space, so I decided to put in this, make like a matting using the fabric. And it worked out really, really well. I'm really happy with it. It was a little bit fiddly trying to do the corners. How I did it was I cut the long strips, 4 long strips, and then I pinned them on, and I sewed them all across like lengthwise, and then I folded on the edges to make the little like corner triangle, you know, how it is at the edges. That was a little bit fiddly to do. It might have been easier to do if I'd actually made them into proper corners before I sewed it onto the Ada. It is a very pale pink Ada. It's kind of hard to tell in the video, but it's pale pink and sparkly, and my daughter really loved it, and now I just have to figure out where to hang it in her room. So yeah, so this was my third finish of the year. I think it might have been my third finish of the year. So yay, I'll put that up here so you can look at it, because I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Maybe not. I can get it to stand. There we go. We'll see if that works. Now I have this one. This is my fourth finish of the year, but it's not FFO yet. And again, you probably saw this on Instagram. I was trying to finish this on the May long weekend. Here in Canada, we call it the May 2-4. It's not always on May 24th, but it's usually around that weekend. And if you're not Canadian, I don't know if Americans or other countries do this, but we call the 24-pack of beer 2-4. And since people enjoy drinking on long weekends, we call it the May 2-4. So on the May long weekend, I didn't drink beer because I don't drink beer, but I did do a lot of cross stitching, and I was trying to finish this. I got really, really close. I was counting down. I'll just show it so you can see. This is my RBG. I was counting it down. I was like around here, and in my pattern, I was counting down. Okay, I've got, 41 rows, 40 rows, 39 rows, and then I realized in my count, I wasn't including her collar. So it's like, oh, I'm not as close as I thought I was. The collar wasn't a whole lot of stitching. It's kind of hard to see because it is white. Get closer so you can see. So it's not a ton of stitching, but I had to very, very, very closely look at the pattern because it is just a bunch of kind of random stitches to make it look like lace. But yeah, it turned out really well. So I didn't finish it on the long weekend, but I did finish it, I believe, sometime last week. And yeah, I have another frame. Again, it's a little bit big, but I don't know if I can find a standard sized frame smaller than the one I have that will be big enough for this. So I think I'll probably just end up maybe doing something similar to what I did with the mermaid. But yeah, so this was my fourth finish of the year, and I really like that quote, and I'm going to put this somewhere in my house, I'm not sure. And it is on 14 count Ada, picture this plus, I believe this tag is still on it. It is Jazz from 1-2-3 Stitch. So yeah, there you go. So an FFO and a finish, pretty good for May. I may recap. So yeah, we'll put that there. I do have some WIPs to show you. I realized when I did my last full Flosstube, it had been so long since the last time I did a Flosstube. I wasn't thinking of everything that I had actually done, and I only really showed you the things I knew that I had done recently, which was at the Stitch North retreat. So I have something else in here that I haven't worked on since my last Flosstube, but I believe I worked on between the second to last Flosstube and my Stitch North Flosstube. That's not too confusing for you. So let's see, where should I start? Oh, I have a new start. I will start with the new start. So this was something that I got, a pattern that I got at Stitch North. So this was the Tiny Modernist cat tapestry. Very, very pretty. And then I got some beautiful green linen, believe it or not, linen, from, I believe her shop is called The Stitch Shop, but sorry, Kaylee. her on YouTube and on Instagram, she's Kaylee 10 Stitches. So this is her fabric, and I don't know why I was so terrified of using linen, because it actually ended up not being so bad. And this is my start. So this is a 28 count linen, and the color is called Boom. So I was walking around at Stitch North, and I wanted to buy a green fabric so that I could do this, because it's stitched on green and it looks really pretty on the green. And I couldn't find any Aida. It was the last day, I believe it was Sunday, so you know, all the sellers were running low on products, and Kaylee had this, but it was perfect. And I was a little bit skeptical about starting on Aida, or not on Aida, starting on linen, but I bought it and I gave it a try. It is not as bad as I thought. So I figured it out, a 28 count linen. I'm stitching 2/2, so that's kind of the equivalent of a 14 count Aida, which is what I usually do. And yeah, it's not too bad. I do have to be careful because I did miscount. It's a little easier to miscount on linen, I find, but it's not so bad. I do have to be sitting in like the perfect light spot. I usually sit in, there's like a reclining chair in the basement in front of the TV, and that's where I generally stitch, sit and stitch. And that's where I started working on this. And then one night last week, my son was like, let's have a movie night. And so we were watching Lucky, which is a cartoon on Apple TV that's about a girl that's really unlucky and a black cat and yada. Anyways, it was a very good movie. But my son likes the reclining chair. So he was sitting in the reclining chair, I was sitting on the couch, and I was trying to stitch, and I kept making mistakes because there just wasn't enough proper light to be able to stitch on this Aida. And I think maybe also I wasn't paying close enough attention because I was kind of watching the movie and my kids were talking. So this linen is definitely a, when I'm focusing, cross stitch, because it is a little bit easier. I did have to frog some stuff in the butterfly. So yeah, but it's really pretty. I like how it's working out. It's really colorful, and I'm very, very happy. And so that's my new start. So yeah. So one new start, we'll put that down there. One of the WIPs that I worked on in April that I forgot to mention, I showed this to you in my March Flosstube. This was my birthday start. I have worked on it since then, and I posted again on my Instagram, but I forgot to mention it in my last Flosstube. So this is Watch the World Burn, and I don't have a good picture. Oh, yes, it is. What? No, so it's kind of, so something that happened when I was at the retreat. I had all of my bags in a big shopping bag, like one of those reusable shopping bags you get, and I had them all in there, and to bring back and forth to the ballroom for stitching so that I could decide at the time what I wanted. I didn't bring every single one of my WIPs, but I brought most of them. I think I just left behind, I didn't bring my Christmas stuff, but I brought everything else. I think it was on Saturday when I left to go back to my hotel room on Saturday. I was gathering everything up, making sure I had everything, and I threw my water bottle in the bag with my WIPs, and I left it there all night because I got back to my hotel room at like 9:30 or whatever, because the ballroom was open till like 11, so we stitched. It was a long day. I left it in the bag, and when I went to get stuff out on Sunday morning, I realized it had leaked water. So thankfully, it didn't ruin any of the projects. A bunch of my cross-stitch bags got wet. They were fine. I mean, they dry. I pulled everything out. Luckily, none of the projects got ruined. The Aida got wet and needed to be dried, but they all seemed fine afterward. But a bunch of the printed patterns that I have a bit of water damage, unfortunately. But if that's the worst that could happen for my stupidity, yeah. anyways, so yeah, this is Watch the World Burn by Happy Sloth, and they are on Etsy. And I started this on my birthday, which was March 15th, and I have worked on this a bit, but not a lot. So this is what I've got so far. Well, some random 310. Woo! Okay, so random 310. So this is what I've got so far. It's coming along. It's a lot of black, and the pattern is not the easiest to follow because all the squares are just solid black, and so it's hard to tell when there's like a huge long row. It's hard to tell how many squares there are. I have to count by, you know, looking at the grid above where the squares are and counting the squares there to know how. So I haven't worked on this a lot because it's kind of fussy and fiddly. So, but I do want to finish it because it is a really nice pattern and I want to be able to put it up. So maybe I should get that out. But yeah. So there's another WIP, but I haven't worked on that this month. I worked on it in April and March. Oh, there's that one. This one. So this is another Happy Sloth pattern. Another in a cat bag. And this one is really coming along. This is my, oops, what did I drop? I dropped something, a magnet. Where did that come from? Okay, sorry. This is my Martian piece. So I actually cut the Ada finally on a huge piece. So this is just a 14 count gridded Ada that I got from Millions of Stitches on Etsy. And yeah, I'm so close to being done. So I cut the fabric based on how much space I had left. So you can see I'm more than half done. I do have to do the words. There's words up here. But yeah, so I was gonna try and give this to my friend. Her birthday's not until August, but I was gonna try and give it to her when I see her the July 1st long weekend. I think I can finish it by then. Whether or not I can FFO it, I'll have to start looking for a frame because this is gonna be a square. It might be hard to find a frame. Excuse me. But yeah, it's turning out really well. This is a very easy stitch because it is just big solid blocks of color. So I'm really happy because I did give myself a deadline for finishing this, and it looks like I'm actually going to get it finished. And once I finish this, I can start something else. That's part of my focus, has been trying to finish a bunch of things so that I can start some new things. Mostly so I can free up the project bags because I don't have a ton of project bags, so I do need to empty some before I can start new ones. And this is one of the little gifts I got in my swag bag at Stitch North, and so I just put it, I don't know if it's supposed to go on a bag or if it's supposed to go on scissors, but I just decided to put it on here because it matched this bag. It's very cute. I hope you can hear me, sorry. I'm trying to speak loudly. I'm gonna have to see how this works out when I go to edit the video. This is the last WIP I've been working on. So last weekend I was watching Michelle Bendy Stitchy, and she was talking about her, she said pick 12 WIPs and try to finish them in 12 months. Sorry. Hashtag WIP Down Salve 2023. So that's what I'm trying to do. Again, trying to get rid of some of my WIPs so I can start some new stuff. So I decided to choose my Stranger Things pattern that I have not worked on in a long time. So the last time I showed it to you was probably my WIP break because I don't think I'd worked on it since then. But I finished. Well, I didn't finish. Oh. Sorry, coughing fit. Okay, I didn't finish. But I finished the top part of it. So it's going to be a big circle with the kids up here biking, and down here is Will and Demogorgon. So last time, when I started working on this last Sunday, so a week ago, all the purple was done, all the dark pink was done. Yeah, and I just had to do the two lighter pinks. So I finished the two lighter pinks, and then last night I started on the bottom. So I'm about 50% done. Although I started this on white. I think it would have looked better on black Ada, but too late, I can't go back to that. So I might fill in the empty space with black Ada, but we'll see when I get finished. This is on a 16 count Ada, but it's pretty cool. I like it. There's a few, I forget who, hang on, let me look, who designed this pattern. This is by Alton Embroidery on Etsy, and they do have several Stranger Things pattern. There's another one, if you are a Stranger Things fan, the first season, the alphabet with the Christmas lights, they do a really cool pattern that has that, which I really thought about doing that one, but I picked this one to do first. So yeah, anyways. So it's coming along. I'm about 50% done, and because I was working on this, when I started working on this last year, sorry, coughing fit, I had to take a break there. Yeah, so when I started working on this last year, it was when season 4 of Stranger Things came out. Oh my god, I'm really sorry about this. Maybe filming today was not a good idea. So I started this last year. It was when season 4 of Stranger Things came out on Netflix. So I said, I'll only stitch on this when I'm watching Stranger Things. But there wasn't enough time, even with however many episodes there were in season 4. It didn't allow me enough time to make much headway. So I've been stitching it even when I'm not watching Stranger Things, but I did start back in season 1 to rewatch it because it is a really good show. So yeah, so that was my last WIP. I've spent a lot of time in the last few days. Excuse me, working on this. And then I have, this is my crochet bag. I bought this bag because that looks a little bit like penny. It's a winter's bag. So I did take quite a bit of a break from my crochet and my knitting. I haven't shown you crochet or knitting in a while. I have been working on it on and off. My learning to knit blanket, in case you're wondering where that went, after I started learning how to crochet, I realized I like crochet a lot more than I like knitting, and I've been on the fence considering carrying that out and starting over. It was a lot of work put into it, but I think the blanket would be better as a crochet blanket. So, but I can't quite bring myself to tear the whole thing out yet. So I'm still on the fence, so it's just been sitting downstairs by my desk. I haven't worked on it in 2 months. Sorry. But I haven't ripped it out. I haven't worked on it anymore. I'm still considering what to do. So I have worked a little bit on my knitted sweater. Just, I'm sorry. Get out my old lady tin of hard candies, mints. This will help me, hopefully help me stop coughing. Of course, now I can't talk. Anyways, sorry. I have been working on my knitted sweater. I have been working on my knitted sweater, but I'm not going to show it to you because I haven't worked on it that much, and it's not really that noticeable. It's just, I've just been working on the stripes, so. But I've done a lot more on my crochet. This is my granny square. I have made a lot of granny squares. They're still coming. There's more. I counted yesterday. and I think I was at 75. 75 granny squares. Whoop, there's my crochet hook. I finished 2 of my balls of yarn, and this is the final one. So, it's one of the Karen Blossom cakes. So yeah, so when I'm done this, well, probably just before I finish this, I'm going to lay them out to see, you know, how big it is. It's probably not going to be bigger than a lap blanket, but yeah, there's still more in it. I'm just not going to pull them all out. They are turning out really well, though. They're very cute. Whoa, granny squares flying everywhere. Lots of variation of colors. So I like the ones that have the darker color more. So yeah, granny squares. Lots and lots of granny squares. Okay. So now, sorry for all the coughing. I haven't been coughing that much all week for some reason. Just this is probably the most talking I've done all week, and it's making me cough. So let's just finish this so I can rest my voice. Now we have haul and Happy Mail. I guess Happy Mail's more when people send you stuff. Nobody sent me anything except stuff I ordered. But some haul. So this is very exciting. I went on a bit of a spree on 1, 2, 3 Stitch. I decided I wanted to do some fancy ladies. So I got myself my first Mirabelia. So this is at the Met. At the Met. Very pretty. I'm not usually one for browns, but it did look really good on the brown background. I didn't want the linen because it was a really small linen and I was afraid it would be too hard. So I ordered some brown Ada. Just open it up. Ooh, this is a lot. There you go. So, oh, it's a lot warmer in person than it looks on the screen. But this is a half yard of 16 count opal for 1, 2, 3 Stitch. So yeah. So that was part of my reason for trying to get some of my other WIPs done, because this is a big project. I did order the fancy floss, and I believe this is called Crochet. That is called for. We'll take this out of the bag. I haven't taken any of this out of the bag yet. It's really pretty. Oh, get those colors. This is Water Lilies by Karen. I wonder if that's the same Karen that makes my yarn. So this one's called Bermuda Reef. This one's called Plum. This one is called Flagstone. And this one is called Celadon. And then we just got the gold Crochet. So this Mirabelia, and I think all Mirabilias, it did also call for beads, but my shopping cart was getting quite expensive, and since I wasn't going to bead, excuse me, till the very end, I decided I wouldn't order the beads just yet. So I figured I will start and order the beads when I'm getting close to finishing it and needing to bead. So yeah, so we got that. This and this. So I'm really hoping, I think I might start this today. We'll see. I did order another piece of fabric because I do have a fancy lady. Not a Mirabelia. It was a random chart that I found from a seller on Facebook. I don't have it with me, of course. But it's a princess and a horse, and I'm going to my daughter. So I ordered this nice purple fabric. So there we go. Also from 123 Stitch, and this one is 16 count J Ada fabric. It's called J. Okay, so very pretty. Once I kit those up, then I can get them started. I'm real excited. I'm a little bit scared of the Mirabelia because they look intense, but so pretty. Look at her. I mean, oh, she's so glamorous. That's what my grandmother always used to say about everyone. Oh, she's so glamorous. She's so glamorous. So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to starting with it. I do have one more bit of haul. So if you know Night Spirit Studios, if you're a fan, you might follow them on Instagram. I've been a fan of Night Spirit Studios before I started watching Flosstube, before I even really started being part of the Crossstitch on Instagram club. I stumbled across Night Spirit Studios on Etsy, and I really loved the patterns. I've done, you saw on my home tour that I posted last week, I've done I think 3 of their patterns, and I love them. They're just great. I love them. And so last week, excuse me, I have seen over the course of the last, I don't know how long, months, Jade, who is the cross-stitch designer for Night Spirit Studio, has been ill and undergoing treatment for cancer, I believe. But they seem very positive, and they always seem to be working away and doing everything. Like, the fact that anybody who's undergoing any kind of treatment like that that's so intense and is still doing all the other stuff and has a business and everything, that's, to me, is absolutely incredible. Like, doing that, having your own business and just living your regular life, to me, is incredible. So, you know, doing that while you're sick is applause. But anyways, last week on Instagram, Jade put a note saying that they were undergoing surgery, more surgery for cancer, and I just felt like I wanted to do something for Jade. So, like I said, I've been a fan of Night Spirit Studios since before I knew about the cross-stitch community online, and I did a lot of the patterns in 2020 and 2021 that I have. And 2020 was a really, really hard year for me. It was a hard year for everybody, I know, but it was also a really hard year for me. On top of COVID and all the lockdowns, my marriage ended, and I was also on a long leave for mental health reasons from my work. So during the turmoil of COVID and the lockdowns, I also moved out on my own. I was all alone in a new apartment by myself. Days and a week would go by without my kids because they'd be with their dad, because custody, you know. I wasn't going to work every day, and then there were lockdowns, so I couldn't really get out of the house much, didn't see my friends, couldn't see my family, couldn't travel, couldn't do much of anything. And it was during this time that I stitched several of the Night Spirit Studio cross-stitch patterns, and they not only kept me busy and gave me something to do during all of that time when I was alone and having a really hard time, they were also art and something to put up in my new home that I moved into, where I was on my own. When I moved out, I didn't take much with me, and by my choice. I took only the most essential things I wanted and left. And I'm not going to get into all the details of that, but yeah, so I had a very sparse home for the first little while, and as you've seen from my home tour and from the pictures you've glimpsed on Instagram, I'm a maximalist. I like my art, I like color, so it was kind of dreary to be in a very empty home and alone a lot. And those Night Spirit Studio cross-stitch patterns kind of helped me decorate my new place in my style and kept me busy when I was really low and alone. So when I read the post from Jade last week, I immediately went to her website and I bought a pattern, a shirt, a cross-stitch shirt, and a piece of art, a decora type of a cat in like a suit. It's really cute. And I really wanted to encourage everyone else to do the same. Show, if you're a fan of Night Spirit Studios, obviously, but go to the Night Spirit Studios website, I will link it down below, and buy something. Buy several somethings and show some love for Jade, that everyone is thinking about them during this tough time, and how much their art means to everyone. Because that's really important. Anybody who creates art, I mean, they create it for themselves, but I think they would want to know how much their art means to other people too. So, where's my phone? I did buy, like I said, I bought a cross-stitch pattern. I bought the Witches and Demon wood cat. So I'm gonna have to try and find some nice fabric. I might coffee stain or tea stain Anita to make it look like antique paper. So yeah. Anyways, that's my little spiel, and that's everything I got. So I need to go rest my voice. So thanks for joining me, and I hopefully will be back in 2 weeks again. I'm gonna try and be better about doing this more on a regular basis. And have a great summer, enjoy the sun, and yeah, happy stitching. Bye.